Looks like we have a 19-point agenda, and one note, I am going to move the closed session item number 11 to the last item, after item number 18, so that we can do the jail inspection evaluation of jail staff in closed session. We will take no action when we come back, and if there's any action to be taken, we'll take it at the next meeting. That way, Barb can be dismissed and we don't have people waiting for us to come back. All right? All right. Was it properly posted? All right. Item number 3, read and approve agenda for the December 10th. I have a motion to approve the agenda. By motion by Cosgrove, second by Severson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
All right. We have an agenda. Item number 4, approve minutes from the November 12th meeting. Someone like to make a motion? Motion by Severson. Second by Cosgrove. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Are you having issues with Lion Farm? Oh, there's Dave. Okay, never mind. All right. All right, item number 5, corner updates. You have anything from the corner?
I dropped it in the folder this morning as well. The office is at 138 cases for the year. They were at 131 this time last year. Handled 18 cases in October, 6 of them COVID-19 deaths. 12 cases in November, with 2 of them being COVID-19 deaths. And they're at 5 cases thus far in December, and with 1 being a COVID death. County had its 4th motor vehicle fatality for the year last weekend with the death of a 4-year-old child. We had 1 motor vehicle fatality in March and 2 in April. Steve Salisbury is no longer able to take hours due to family obligations, and therefore they're recruiting for the office. We would like to find 2 to 3 additional deputy coroners. If you know anybody who might be interested for this position, please send them his way. If at any time you have questions or concerns related to the office, don't be afraid to reach out. Best wishes for all. Blessed holiday season. Regards, Jim.
All right, thank you. All right, item number 6, clerk of court. Good morning.
Awesome. Good morning, everybody. Deputy Sarah Earhart is with me today. I think you guys have all met Sarah. So, did everyone receive the report? So first of all, what questions do you have about the report?
Thought we looked like we were in good shape.
I think that we are. As I noted in there, a lot of these, the attorney bills, I've been pestering them for several weeks, and most of them, probably 75% of them, are very responsive, and then there's always the others. And I know that some of the others have some ginormous bills, probably. So, you know, doing the best that we can on that, and that it's the same every year, except, you know, I try to kind of change it up, the tactics that I use to remind them.
I think they'd want to get paid.
Gosh, you would think so.
I wish I didn't need to.
I know. You know, I think that, you know, most of them are private practice attorneys who probably are billing their clients, you know, directly, and they know that dean counsel and guardian ad litem work, that's guaranteed money. And so I think that they know that as soon as they submit those bills, they'll get paid, and they don't work that hard on they work hard on the cases, but they don't work that hard on the billing, because as soon as they submit it, it's 100%, they're going to get their money. So I think that's probably part of it. It's like the, you know, in the day-to-day stuff that they do, there are things that they do that are much harder to get their money out of, and they probably bill and work on those more aggressively. So I think that we've been doing pretty good budgeting the last couple of years with attorney fees. We've gotten them up to a point that they need to be. And now we'll kind of watch to see, like, the last couple of years now, they're at the $100 an hour Supreme Court rate, which was a big change. But when that big change was made, we budgeted and allowed for that. So that's good. The thing that I think we're going to continue to see is with the family cases, and some of the guardian ad litems have told me, you know, Stacy, we used to meet with the kids once or twice. Now we're having the issues that we're in with the families are becoming more complex, a lot of times drug use and, you know, things, and we're meeting with the kids 5 or 6 times. So at $100 an hour, we're racking up quite a bill. So the family cases are the ones that definitely are the more unpredictable, and that's the curveball when we get those. I got a bill from an interim bill, not even a final bill, in a family case after I asked for it, and it was for $4,900. So that's, you know, that's not gonna change. That's, we're gonna be talking that forever. The thing that right now I'm kind of starting to think about is, as we get ready for another judicial transition, the judge expenses. A judge, whoever the new one is, him or her, could want a bunch of stuff. That the judge is a separate elected officer, and like Jen is the judicial assistant, and we have a unique situation where we have the 2 separate budgets because Jen's predecessor wanted that split out that way, and it is that way. I think that when the new judge comes on board and they have needs, I think that there should be allowances made so that that extra money gets put into Jen's budget and the judge expenses handled through there. Because it doesn't make sense to me to have the judge's assistant in one budget and then the judge, whatever expenses in the clerk of court's budget. It would be like combining the sheriff and the DA, 2 separate constitutional elected offices, or the treasurer and the register of deeds, or the county clerk and any of those offices together. As the person elected to manage everything of the courts, including the finances, I need to be able to keep control of my budget. And I might end up with a judge who says, this is what I want, and gets me what I want. And then I would like to say, get what you want from your own budget. I don't think that the judge's expenses, as them being a separate elected officer, should be put into my budget. There's no other place in the county where that happens, and particularly where his staff is in Jen's office. So that's something that, since we haven't had to address because at the time that the last judge took office, our budgets were all together. So I just think it's something you need to consider, and the judge may have particular needs, and those needs will need to be funded. And, but I think that they should be placed in his office's budget.
Have they officially started taking applications for
I
the
don't
interim,
know,
the appointed?
probably, well, there's a lot of, you know, I haven't heard anything official, but I do know that the judge has had to move back his retirement date. So that may have affected the process down at the Capitol. He is officially now retiring on April 1st, which is like, you know, he started out in mid-February, and then it has to do with his own retirement and things. And then he had to push it back to March, and now it's officially April 1st. So we're still a ways off from even his retirement date. And last time when we did the judicial transition, we had a 4-month period between the judge's retirement and the appointment of the new judge, and had the reserve judges in that period. So it's probably going to work something like that.
Well, obviously, if there's needs of the new judge, we'll have to figure that out when and if it happens.
But I would like to remind you that the judge is elected separate from the clerk of court.
Right.
And I would like to be able to maintain control of my own budget the same as the sheriff and every other elected officer.
Stacy, when you speak a little closer, it looks like you're in trouble online.
Oh, okay. I would like to be able to maintain control of my budget the same as every other elected officer in the county.
All right,
That's the most important point.
duly noted, duly noted. Thank you. All right, is there anything else you have?
I don't think so. In my report, it was, just a detail of where we're at with the
Mhm.
expenses. And the revenues are already, the big picture on the revenues, they were met and exceeded probably a couple months ago, so, they're going great. So the processes that we have in place right now for collections are working. And so until there's some sort of a change with, how the agencies that we work with at the state level, maybe they'll change how they do things and that will affect us. I hope this is the trend that continues.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Stacy? All right. Item number 7, probate department. Guest.
Is that on?
Oh, there it is.
So this is Deputy Veronica Olson in Register and Probate Assistant. Today is her second day.
Jumping right in.
So we did really jump right in. Yesterday we were in court a lot. We had 2 court trials, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So we jumped right into the nitty gritty of things and she got exposed to quite a lot. So I'll kind of go back up and maybe today have some time to take and introduce her to people because yesterday we jumped right into work. So I'm excited to have her and very thankful to have her. I feel like I've been kind of just treading water and trying to keep my head above what needs to absolutely be done. So again, I'm very thankful to have an assistant because it's just too much for one person. And thank you to the Clerk of Court's office for their help and everything. So yes, wanted to introduce her and kind of let her know this is this is a monthly meeting that we have and we'll start explaining the process to her. So
Well, welcome.
And then just to kind of reiterate what Stacy said, so I'm still also working with attorneys and having them submit their bills, getting a lot of them in. So even Derek noticed, he's like, I've never seen so many attorney bills. He made that comment as I started turning. I said this, I think at the time it was only December 8th. So I anticipate a lot more will be coming in. And kind of on the same note, one of our attorney bills in a CHIPS case, which is again the children in need of protection and services. So one single attorney bill was $6,000. So I'm hopeful that we will be, as Stacy said, that we have our line items where they should be. Not every line item equals out. I did notice that our adult guardianship attorney fees are what was a little bit surprisingly high as the year goes on. But I just think that the aging population in Richland County, that we are going to have more adult guardianships, and some of those if they're contested, or if there's issues, and then that can be, again, a very time-consuming case. And then again, those cases don't go away once an adult guardianship is issued. We monitor those cases many times until that person dies. So there's ongoing work a couple times throughout the year once those are established. So keep in mind, even though they're kind of not always having a lot of hearings, there's still work to be done within those cases throughout the year.
Are those the guardian line item in here?
Yes, so there is the guardian ad litem ones.
So that's the one that you budgeted 9,500 and they're at 22,000?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So were you able to put more in that line item for this year's, for 2022's budget?
Yes, I did shift a little bit. I had, again, sometimes the CHIPS cases take on a life of their own, and then it seems like sometimes the adult guardianships
So
do.
you never know.
Yeah. So overall, I think that the attorney fees are sufficient, but they do kind of bounce back and forth between more time-consuming cases as the year goes. We do have a couple of CHIPS cases that are very labor-intensive as well, that have been going on for a few years now.
But overall, your budget is at 78% for the year. So
Correct.
that's under what you're underspending
Yes, so we'll see.
until
how-
those bills come in.
Yes, until those bills come in. And then the revenues were a little bit over. You know, Stacy, once they go to collections, Stacy does the collections for the CHIPS cases too. We do the best we can in trying to recoup those funds. But I think we are getting better at recouping some of those guardian ad litem fees back, if at all, you know, possible.
And so staffing levels among the two offices seems, you guys seem to be at an okay, the shift to a position.
Right now, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the judicial transition looks like.
A
So,
big unknown.
yeah, no promises. Last time that was very difficult, but I think there are some things that will make it easier this time, particularly electronic filing of everything. In the criminal cases and stuff, I mean, in the last transition, you're pulling and taking stacks like this up to court of the cases for the day, and then it was crazy. I was here half the night. It was bad, but we also had an opening in our office at the time, so there were only 2 of us in our office. And yeah, I think we'll put our heads together and we'll figure it out. I also have, you know, a really good team of really smart people, and Sarah pulls her weight all the way with criminal and traffic and forfeiture. And you remember when I was sick,
Mhm.
the kind of cluster
Yeah,
that occurred there, you know, staff literally refused to do criminal and
Really tough
traffic and
ones, yeah.
forfeiture work. And I couldn't do much laying in a bed at the UW hospital. So I got more responsible, more work hardy people. And I think that will work. And Jen is, and she's a hard worker, and I was in on the interview with Veronica, and I got a good feeling about her too. So I think we're set as we can be, and, you know, we're gonna face some unknowns, but we'll also, our 2 offices will work together and get through them.
all right, well, obviously, you'll let us know if that is not the case.
Yeah,
So-
we'll keep you updated. We're
All
optimistic.
right,
I would agree. We're optimistic.
all right, good. It's always nice to be optimistic. All right, any questions for register and probate? All right, moving on, item number 8, district attorney update. I don't see. I haven't heard from her for a while. Is she all right? As everybody knows?
She may be getting ready for. Have to buzz out in
All right, that's no news is good news as far as the district attorney goes. All right, item number 9, we're on to the sheriff's department. Approve monthly invoices and other sheriff department reports. Go to the bills first.
Sure, we can go to the bills first. Does anybody have any questions about any of the bills?
Did I think everything?
One of the high dollar ones was general communications, and that was for one of the big products.
So, and we're, that Fund 92, we figured out that we're within our
Yes.
spending allowance and
Yep, we're
everything.
still within our spending. Did get a quote back for building up the new.
is good. And then I see the other big one on there is the 909 outlay. That's the annual maintenance that's in our budget that we expect to get pay every year. Okay. And then uniform allowance is there. But that's just typical within our budget kind of stuff. All right, anyone have any questions on the budget or the bills?
Probably for towing.
That's towing.
So what happens sometimes if we tow a vehicle from a scene or it's whatever, we get charged. And when we release the vehicle, let's say the court releases it as evidence, or we release it back to the owner for whatever reason, we then recoup those. Most of them. We recoup those, we won't release it until they pay us the tow bill back. So that's what that is.
Well, that's why there's three invoice numbers. All right, would someone like to make a motion to pay the bills? All right, motion by Cosgrove,
I'll second.
second by Turk. Any discussion on the bills? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, bills are paid. You want to go into your report then?
Jail bookings for November were down a bit, 38 from 49 in October. Average population is down somewhat again. Monthly complaints are staying pretty steady. We're at 205 for November. Traffic citations made a jump. We're up to 58. I would anticipate that will continue to climb as new staff gets out on their own. Sorry, quick reports.
Oh, I suppose they're.
File them on time, we don't care.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna have a young staff and would anticipate traffic citations are gonna continue. Civil process papers are down a little bit and transports were down pretty significantly in November from October. We're down 10. And an average number of on electronic monitoring is 5.
That's the Huber? Was that the work release?
Yeah.
Or
For the
included
most
in
part,
that?
yeah, if
Okay.
they have people, they're on the.
Okay, that's it, yeah. Right.
Questions about those?
I think so. All right, so item number 10 is the discussion of jail inspection reports. I think this is the discussion of the reports from the
Yes.
state inspector that we,
Yes.
so,
Apologize, I didn't get the report until Wednesday, so if you were looking for it or earlier, it wasn't there.
in there now.
I did get it on Wednesday.
So I did, and Supervisor Cosgrove was there as well, speak a little bit with the jail inspector. I mean, I have to say that he numerous times reiterated how impressed he is with the staff in the jail and how they do so much with so little. I mean, he must have said that at least 3 times while I was there. So I think that says a lot about the staff that we have working in the jail. And he did start to kind of help me understand what some of the limitations are of our current facility, and what challenges those pose to the staff. Not only is it just not, it's an older facility, but it actually, the way it's laid out, the way that it's set up, creates a lot of challenges for the staff, and they seem to rise to the occasion on a regular basis. So I think that we should make sure that we acknowledge that. That doesn't mean that there's things we can't improve, and that there's some work that we can do to make things better for the staff and for the inmates. Is that the right term, inmates? So anyway, I don't know if you guys want to have any specific discussion about. I think the one thing that popped out to me on this inspection report that I do think we should talk about is there was a comment made, and I think I highlighted it here. Yeah, here it is. So on page 6, under discipline, the last italicized sentence is somewhat of a concern to me. It says, it should be noted that this is the 7th consecutive inspection documenting a concern with disciplines. I feel like if he said it 7 years in a row, we probably should, I don't know what exactly would like you to do differently.
So I can let Aaron comment on it a little bit. He had, it's not necessarily with the discipline itself as is the document.
No, right, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, maybe I should have read maybe I should read the whole paragraph just,
Yep.
okay.
But I can
So,
let Aaron, we have made some changes since we met with Nathan as a group, hopefully to alleviate those type of issues.
Okay, I'm going to read it just because we are being recorded. So it's a spot check of disciplines verified general compliance. However, documentation of due process was limited for minor violations. As was discussed during the inspection closeout, administration is encouraged to utilize standard due process forms for both minor and major disciplines, which encompass the procedural requirements of DOC 350.24. Okay, so he just wants a specific form filled out even for minor. So we're using it for major instances, but not for
Get
minor.
a form for major
Okay.
issues, but
Is your mic on?
yeah, it's on.
Okay, okay, good.
But not for minor issues. And since we've talked with Nathan, I've actually made a minor jail rule violation form. It's editable, a PDF, and the staff now in jail has that form and they know that they need to fill that out.
Okay, so it's not, so this form wasn't there before, and so why weren't they filling out something before, just because they didn't think they needed to?
Trying to think of how I want to word this.
I know.
DOC 350 doesn't mandate that we document process for minor rule
Minor.
violations. So Nathan strongly suggested, and I completely understand why he is, because if something gets, liability issues, if something gets called into court or we get sued.
Better to have it
It's
documented.
better to have the documentation, even though they don't require it, than to not have it at all.
Okay,
So,
so it'll just take a little while for everyone to get used to that change and,
yeah,
Should take place pretty quick. I mean, it's a simple form. They just click on it, they fill it out, and then they get forwarded on to their sergeant. If they need to go past that, it'd come to me, so.
okay.
we
All right.
tried to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, I mean, because when I'm reading through this, that was really the only thing that really stuck out to me, that when someone says it's the seventh time, I feel like maybe we better actually make him happy. I mean, I think I will read one other comment that he made, just trying to find, or maybe it's in his cover letter, maybe I didn't print. I just was going to read the section where he says that he's continued to be impressed with how well the staff does with what they have. I don't know where that is here, so I'm not going to read it, I guess, but he did mention it several times in there. Is there anything, I know that we had a brief discussion afterwards of some things that we could do to improve some of his concerns, like changing a couple grills. I mean, I think that there are things that we can do that that don't require a lot of capital investment. And so I do think that we should focus on trying to get some of that stuff taken care of.
And I agree. And some of that stuff is, we've been in discussions with contractors about making the changes. We just haven't followed through and finished it yet. So we'll work on that and get it wrapped up.
Okay. Did anyone else have questions from the inspection report or comments? Okay. So I'm going to skip item number 11 and we'll come back to that. And let's go on to item number 12, possible approval of Sheriff's Department Clerical Assistant 2 position. Move to step G.
So I know we've already been here once, talk about this. This is the Sue's position. We've been here and we talked about it, and I think our discussion, we said we could talk
Can
to,
you move your mic closer to you? Or angle it up, maybe is all it'll take.
talked about how we need to go to Clint and speak to him about this. We got clarification from Clint's office that since Clay is an elected official, it needs to go through you guys first.
Okay.
So it's.
Refresh my memory. So this is, we want to just move her is it one step?
It's you're going from a step F to a step G.
And this is, and you would do, and my iPad is not working right now, so I can't get the description up, but essentially there's some additional duties that,
One, yes, I mean, the initial description of her job was, I think it was done in 1980 or something like that.
and that was what was submitted to Carlson Detman.
Correct.
So it was classified where it was. so
And
you
since then, she's got a lot more roles that she takes on. When Amber's out of the office, she has to do some of Amber's tasks too. So there's just a lot more to that position than there was back in 1980 when they came up with the initial.
And what is the financial impact of that?
So Hourly, it's going from 18.10 to a 19.85 an hour. For a year, that's 36.40, $3,640.
And you would like this to be effective for the 2022 budget?
We can make
Is
that
it,
happen, yes.
so was it budgeted at that level, or it was budgeted at her normal salary? Thoughts?
3,640.
Would someone like to make a motion? All right, I have a motion by Cosgrove to approve, and this is us recommending it to,
Yep.
and then it has to go to Carlson Detman for review, or has it already been reviewed by Carlson Detman and it would be?
It has to go, it's
Okay.
them first.
So, okay, so essentially we're recommending that it be reviewed by Carlson Detman is essentially what we're recommending. Because, so it's not actually approving it at this point, because once it comes back from Carlson Detman, then we would, there's more to it. All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I have a second by Turk. Any other discussion on this?
This is gonna come out of your budget?
All right.
Dave didn't hear you. Sorry,
Yes.
sorry.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, please send it on to the next. All right, item number 13, permission to solicit squad bids. Again,
Yes, I kind of wish I would have put this on last month's agenda, but in talking with Phil back, they are recommending we get on this in a hurry. Because Ford has already started closing ordering on certain vehicles. So just looking to advertise for bids.
and these would be for which
These would be
borrowing,
patrol vehicles.
for the money we borrowed in 2021?
This
Or
would
this would be for the money we,
I'm not sure what the fund number is gonna be, but it was for the capital outlay money
well, that we haven't actually,
that we haven't started using yet.
okay, it's for
Yep.
2022.
Yes, 2020.
The $1,050,000 for 2022.
Yep.
Where you had allocated 3 or 2 cars?
We were allocated 2 cars.
2 cars, right? Okay. All right. Someone like to make a motion?
I'll move.
All right, motion by Turk,
Second?
second by Severson. Any discussion on having him solicit squad bids? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, go for it. I mean, that doesn't mean you won't get squads till probably next December, so, you know. All right, item number 14, departmental budget spending review for 2021. I always appreciate that you send these every month. So, I was, at first I started looking at it and I was looking at the items, you know, like, line 5212 attorney fees where we had budgeted 2,000 and, you know, 12,000 spent for the year. But then when you get to the bottom, then this would be under the sheriff's department, the administration one. When you get to the bottom of it, when you look at the general fund, what you've spent, you know, you're at 86%. Which means, yeah, we've overspent in some, but we've also underspent because what is 11, is this through November?
Yes.
All right, so this is 11 twelfths of a budget, percent that is. So overall, we're doing okay, even though you've overspent. My one question is how are we doing as far as, did you budget more in these items in these lines for 2022? Were you able to budget any more? Especially insurance. It just looks like insurance is just, we budgeted 15 and you're at 37.25 for the year.
Which line are you looking at?
5903. It's the first section, sorry.
Nope.
There was that one, and then the other one that I thought was lodging. Is that because we had people at trainings and things like that, that the lodging was, we budgeted 1,400 and we're at 10,000?
So some of that probably will be, or should, some of that should be reimbursed. Not all of it, because some of the lodging doesn't get reimbursed, but like, you think of this year, we've sent a lot of people to the academy,
And that gets
and so that
reimbursed?
lodging gets reimbursed. But the, for the general, in-service training stuff, that wouldn't necessarily be reimbursed for us.
Okay.
So a portion of that will get reimbursed, I guess.
And we've had how many? We've had several people at the academy this year, right?
Yeah. Yep.
In what school? Oh,
Jail
jail
school.
school. That's right. I forgot they have to do that too. Okay.
The people we had in the law enforcement academy, we didn't have any housing expenses for them. Just actually just their wages. Didn't pay anything for their mileage, yeah.
Yeah, because we're over on mileage quite a bit, and we're over on,
Mileage, meal, housing, any hotel stay will get reimbursed by the state.
okay, so even, and that doesn't appear in here, because that just
No.
goes into the general fund or whatever.
It goes into a revenue account.
Okay. All right, well, to me, my overall feeling was, and I guess I don't know 100% how this works, but at the end of the year, when we do a deficiency transfer, when we're cleaning up accounts, they just look at your end number, right? Like what you got from at
Yes.
the end of the day. So if you've overspent in some categories and underspent in others, it's only if you've overspent more than you've underspent that we'd have to do a deficiency transfer. So at this point, it looks like you've underspent your budget, correct? Am I interpreting this correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. Which is really good news. This would be the second year in a row that, because I look, and if you look at the jail one, that one was at 77%, so that one has underspent even more than the other budget. I mean, we're still getting hit with overtime, but that's expected with our turnover. Although it's not very much in the jail. That third position seems to have made its expected impact, so that's good.
Yep.
So, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised to look at the budget numbers. Does anyone have any other questions about the budget? Okay, move on. All right, so now we are at approval of radio tower RFP.
I'll let Barb do most of the talking on this one. Sorry.
So you've all had a chance, I hope, to review the RFP that was sent, and then there was an updated one with some of the changes that we found right away. There was a couple of plain old typos, but then there were some errors and things that we definitely needed to get corrected. One of the concerns that we had was there didn't seem to be allowance for analog, and we have had that discussion that we aren't 100% committed to digital or analog. It's what's going to work best based on the bids that are received. So that's out there. The other thing that, if I can go back to my notes, sorry, all of the answers, all the questions that we've sent to Mike, he has answered back, and all the adjustments have been made. The RFP has been reviewed by Attorney Wendell. He had some questions, but they weren't necessarily towards the RFP. Clinton and I discussed them. There was a question on county board rules that we had to clarify. So I think that we are ready, if the committee is satisfied with the RFP, to release that next week. If you looked at the timeline, then everything completed would be in June. There'll be phases that will be done before then. And when we enter into the agreement, there will be the 15% anticipated down based on the RFP. That would have to come out of borrowed money, but again, that won't be for how much ever the entire project is. It will only be for the portion of the project done by the awarded vendor. We'll also have civil costs and such that'll end up to that total price tag that we talked about. But the 15% won't include those. They'll be out there to be paid. They're still part of the project, but just not of the 15% down. So
We don't have any idea really where this, I mean, we think it's gonna come in around 7 to 8 million.
I would guess
theory?
between 5 and 7. That's my guess. But I'm not a radio project designer either.
Right. And just to clarify, because I started reading it, but I stopped.
It's 100
Yeah.
and some pages. It's a lot.
One of the things that I know we had talked about was, is there language in here that says that they will evaluate it at a 95, but that if
Yes.
for some reason 95 would, significantly drop the price tag?
Yes, that consideration
Is
is
in
in
there.
there.
Okay.
Yes.
Because to me that, I think 95 may not be attainable or it will be a crazy endeavor of 30 towers or something for money that's
Right.
just insane.
And that caveat is in there.
Okay. And Mike will work, they will continue to work, as the RFPs are being done and people have questions, Mike Day and his staff will be able to answer those or working
Yes,
with, that's
this
part of
will-
our contract with them is to handle.
Yes, we will have the next phase. Eventually, the committee will have to approve that will be furthering Mike's contract, because remember, there are 4 steps
Yeah.
of this, of Mike's contract, and we've only approved through step 2. So we will have that next step that I'll have to bring to you. And I know Mike's on right now.
We don't have money secured for that, correct?
Not to
Thought
the
we
best
only
of
went
my
through
knowledge.
Yeah, I thought we only went through step 2.
Mhm.
And so this next step where he reviews RFPs is not included in what we've already,
Mike, can you answer that, please?
You're correct about that, Barb. And we've normally that phase for most projects begins with the release of the RFP document. In Richland County's case, I mean, we even discussed that a little bit when you approved my phase 2. We really didn't use as much time in phase 1, and so I've used some of the remaining money in phase 1 to complete the RFP document itself. And so we're just now probably with December's billing, probably, I think in November's billing, I finished phase 1 of our contract. So yeah, we're just now starting to tap into that phase 2 money. And I would probably take that into consideration and be able to provide you an estimated cost of phase 3, but I think they're going to be pretty low, kind of based on the project timeline understanding. We release the document here in December. We get responses mid-February, and we do evaluation probably in March. So I'm guessing that phase 3 would probably be needed somewhere in March or so to finish up evaluations and then help the county with the, negotiating a contract. So
okay, so obviously when we still need your services and you've run out of money on your contract, you'll obviously need to let us know, and probably in advance so that we can figure out how we are going to finance continued use of your services,
Yeah.
okay?
you bet. And just to kind of add to what Barb said about the actual document, yes, we have in there what we call some alternate requests. So we want to make sure that the vendors are providing the primary request, but we've also detailed a couple of options, one of which is just to have them present ideas to provide cost savings by reducing that 95% coverage footprint. Certainly we want that to be, in their eyes, a substantial decrease of at least 1 or 2 sites. So that would significantly lower the costs of the system. The document is I think in a very final stages now. I think I've got all the corrections in there. We certainly will finalize things, move it to PDF in the release next week. And, with all RFPs and especially with this one, there's likely some addendums along the way to make any corrections or make any clarifications to the vendors. So we support that throughout the process as well. So they'll be having some questions after we have our pre-proposal meeting in January.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Do we need a motion to release this, I assume?
Yeah, I think that that's
Appropriate?
appropriate.
Someone like to make that motion?
Terry Severson moves.
Motion by Severson, second by Cosgrove. Any further discussion on the RFP release? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right. See what happens. All right. Radio tower project updates, I think that was pretty much it, right? So, all right, so item number 17, mapping radio system and squad updates. Where are we at with squads?
I believe Aaron dropped the mileage chart in.
Yep. I mean, if you got.
I did.
You did get the vehicle?
Came, Philbacks worked their magic, and I picked up a new truck on Tuesday. So,
And is that
came
gonna
in a
be-
little bit cheaper than the one you guys had approved back in October.
For 45 miles.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it came in a little bit cheaper than the one you'd originally approved. So,
There's this happy surprise. How
yes,
does that
yeah.
happen?
Well, I was aiming for that when I will look for a different truck. So, but yeah, that one should be going possibly yet this month for upfitting.
What are you doing with the one that you were driving?
We're discussing the idea of either liquidating or keeping it on as a school car for like people we send to the academy.
Oh, so you can
or
drive that instead
of
one personal
paying
vehicle?
mileage or whatever, yeah. We do have a couple cars I'll probably bring in a future meeting for sale, that we could probably get rid of now. But as that rotation goes, yeah. So out of service was squad 9. That was the one that was totaled earlier in the year. But that's since been replaced. We're just waiting on lettering and a few last minute equipment things.
So,
to get
so we
done.
have the vehicle in place,
Yeah,
it's
but
just not.
almost ready to go. Yep. So what we've been doing, and maybe I've talked about this in past meetings, but when I buy a new car, I have 1 or 2 cars that I have as backups in case somebody hits a deer or
Yeah,
we have
it
a
breaks
major
down.
mechanical failure. So I'm just kind of tearing them down. So the 2 we replaced, well, one of the 2 we replaced this year is going to be kept as a backup car. We'll get rid of a backup car then that we've been using for the last year. Just kind of trying to keep trickling them out that way. That way we always have something that somebody can use in the event that we have some sort of catastrophic failure with a vehicle.
Right.
We only have three squad cars that are over 100,000 that are going to be in use at this point for actual fleet cars, it looks like.
So the 7 that are on here, got replacements either coming or.
Yep. Squad 15, that one's not going to be in use anymore. That's
I'm gonna sell that in 22.
then
Or their department.
Then squad 5 is the backup K9 squad. Also, we're gonna keep that around in case something happens with Mike's squad. But nobody usually drives that vehicle as well.
Because that has special equipment for the
Yep.
dog, right?
Usually K9. Then squad 11, that one hasn't been being driven for quite some time. Just because we've had no one really open. No one to fill that position to be driving that car. So that's one of the cars that's supposed to be switched out.
Yes.
All right. Any questions on squads? Mapping? I mean, we're
Plugging along with the radio system. Our fingers crossed that
Yeah.
keep working and mapping. I don't really have a mapping
know.
update on it.
All right. Okay, 18, future agenda items. Anybody?
What's the Partners for Prevention? Didn't we still have one more thing to do with them?
We do, and it was supposed to be on this agenda, and we didn't get it on our system. Yeah, so I emailed her late last night. I was like, oops, sorry, but they will be at the county board meeting on Tuesday to have the compliance checks resolution adopted by the board, and then I promised her that they could come in January to work on that second resolution. So they're pretty excited about the compliance check one getting moved forward. So, yeah. So we'll make sure that's on there next time. Anyone else with future agenda items? All right. So now we're going to go back to item number 11, jail inspection and evaluation of jail staff performances. We will be going into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 1985 1C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Could I get a motion to go into closed session? A motion by Cosgrove,
I'll second.
second by Severson. I'm going to do a roll call. Severson,
Aye.
Cosgrove, Turk,
Aye.
Luck, aye. All right, so we are officially in closed session.
Can you give me about 30 seconds while I lock the meeting so
Yep.
you can stay in?
And Amber, the only note we're going to have is when we come out of closed session and the time. So we will take no action in closed session or when we come out.
Meeting should be locked so nobody can get in or out.
Okay, I mean, I think you can, so Dave, I mean, obviously we can't take you with us on this tour.
Mhm.
He's in.
Well, gonna walk along with